Are they fish controlling a robot, or is it a robot with a fishbowl? This is the question I asked myself before playing Feudal Alloy. But after playing, it's still not answered. Either way, the main character is a real good guy who farms to care for retired veteran robots. He lives a hard life listening to their stories and oiling them, but then some jerk-ass bandits break in and steal everything. Now Attu is on an adventure to collect it all back. We jump straight into the game and you're left on your own to explore and chase after the bandits. But I'm not sure who the bandits are exactly. The game doesn't explain much in the way of story. Why is the world filled to the brim with dangerous enemies? Alternatively, how come Attu is only on a quest to collect lockets back? Feudal Alloy forgets itself eventually. I wasn't finding any lockets at all. Do note that the enemies are also robotic in the same way, but my favorite is the extremely cute enemies that have a hamster running. It just raises more questions though. Is the hamster powering the robot? Anyway, look. The game progresses as you would expect. Explore the map, kill respawning enemies, and find those stolen lockets. Keep in mind this is more of a Metroidvania light, and so death isn't as much of a big deal. But you will probably die. Feudal Alloy throws a lot at you, especially in challenge rooms. There's also new skills, keys, and a ton of gear. I'm not really sure why there is so much gear, and some of them duplicate the stats. However, all the gear does feed my need to customize my robot body, so I'm not upset. I can get into making Attu look cool. You can switch out all the body parts, arms, legs, torso, and head. As I said, they all have various stats, yet they don't feel powerful. Equipping a new item with better stats doesn't change much. Also, why isn't there a way to compare gear? I have to flip between having it equipped and it's a pain. More importantly are the level up bonuses. While they're basic, damage, armor, and cooling, they do provide a much bigger bonus, a noticeable difference in combat. Destroying enemies drops machine pieces like screws and springs, which eventually add up to a new level. What's different is Feudal Alloy lets you freely level as much as you want. If you're banging your head against a challenge room, you won't lose any level from dying. You can farm it endlessly and eventually be powerful enough to overcome it, which is kind of what they're going for, a more casual Metroidvania. Death is whatever, level at your own speed. If you want to grind it out and make the game easier, well, you can. In other words, this game is not for hardcore players, and that's fine. But let's talk about the combat and how I'm not a fan. Initially, I thought there was some strategy for it, but no. Attu's positioning is somewhat important, but if you swing in the right direction, you should be fine. Note that you can swing up and swing down on a jump, but don't do that on an enemy. Here's a solid formula for handling any room you enter. First, take care of anything flying, then destroy whatever can directly attack you, and finally, clean up anything you can attack but can't hit you. Yep, you can easily attack enemies from a place where they can't hit you. Either jump up and swing, or some platforms you can stand under the enemy and swing up. Few enemies will switch platforms, so they patiently wait at the edge for you to destroy them. How kind. There's way too many times this is possible, and takes all the danger out of those encounters. I will always take the advantage if a game is going to give it to me. I choose staying alive and finishing the game to wasting my time dying. The biggest issue is that button mashing is king. Swinging wildly until all the enemies are dead is the best way to deal with them. If you keep hitting the enemies with an attack, it will sort of stun lock them and they won't get an attack off. It's better to throw in an extra swing than to not swing enough because they will hit you quickly. There's only a small window of invincibility after taking damage, and so it feels cheap. Attacking does cause some heat to build up, but it's minimal. You only really need to worry about it early on, as your upgrades will take care of the issue quickly. Then you can swing as much as you want. Stop the review. Hang on a minute. This is a last-minute addition because screw this enemy. I tried this challenge room multiple times and leveled up twice on it, only to find out it's impossible to kill him without parrying, which is a locked skill. He's too fast. The attacks are swift, so you must parry the attack to be able to get behind him. Sorry, I had to get that out. Let's continue. Well, at least the level design is good. There's a ton of variations, so you never know what to expect. Between tight hallways and huge rooms that you have to traverse up, as I said before, they're filled with a ton of enemies too. Also the challenge rooms, which I mentioned before, spawn a few waves of enemies. I thought these were boss battles until I reached the first boss 2 hours in. Somewhat secret areas are plentiful too. I hate to call them secret since I'm pretty sure the game wants you to find them. They're usually behind what only looks like a wall or some wood that you have to break down. Also, the developer is generous about opening up pathways, which means you don't have to trek all the way back through fighting all the enemies again. Thank you. The developer didn't stop there, and they also added teleporters. Great, since this game is huge. But even though the level design is good, it's missing something. Either the game is too big, or the map isn't good enough, or there should be more landmarks. This is the most lost I've felt in a long time. I found it difficult to keep track of everything in my head, the rooms start feeling very samey, and it took around 3 hours before I reached an area with different looking walls, before the art changed. On one hand, that's great, the game is huge, but on the other hand, how am I supposed to keep track of where everything is, hallway after hallway, with no indication that it's different in any way? I was just checking the map a lot, and I'm sure you will be too. Oh, okay, so I had this whole part here about where I was going to talk about how I had to start taking notes and not being able to remember where the doors were, and they went and changed it. The developers changed the game. They actually changed it before launch, like a couple days, so I had to re-record everything. Well, I'm not mad, all right, because it's a lot better. I was keeping a list of where all the locked doors are, but I don't have to do that now. You see, they have a symbol on them, so if you collect one, you have to go back to that exact door and find it, and that'll open it up. But before you had to go search for it, God only knows where it was. Now it's right on the map, and it's so much better. Removes one of my biggest complaints about the game. But speaking of the doors, they partition off new areas. However, so do new abilities. There are so many different ways to progress and abilities to get. Actually, it's too many. Feudal Alloy tried to cram so much stuff into one game. I can't believe how much of the game is locked off when you pass it, and then you have to navigate back to it later. It just feels like way too much to me. Side note, if you're thinking of picking this up, be aware that the intro cutscene plays even if you pick continue. Your game isn't lost. I panicked when I saw it though, and I thought I would have to start all over. It only runs as the game is loading and can be skipped. Overall, Feudal Alloy is somewhere between okay and good. The unique robots paired with hand-drawn art style is an amazing combo. If you like big Metroidvania games, then you'll probably like it, especially if you can overlook the simple combat. I cannot, so I find each room a little bit more tedious than the last. I hope they increase the invincibility window after taking more damage, although that's not going to be everything fixed. A shorter, more focused game would have been better.